joining me now, a lot to get through, Sky News Political Editor Andrew Clennell. I have to say, mate, you're my favourite guest on a Tuesday because you've always got something pretty interesting to say, and sometimes we have a little bit of a differing view, and I love that. I think that's really important in politics. Give me a sense of where the government is on this whole issue with China and national security, because, you know, it's clear our divers were injured. It's clear this happened on Tuesday. Nothing was said in the parliament. The PM goes off to APEC. He meets in the sidelines with Xi Jinping. We can't get a straight answer from him whether he said something to the president or not. Clearly yesterday, I listened to that interview with Kieran Gilbert, and when he talks about we did this and we did that, well, that says that he didn't do it. That's political code to me. China says, though, even though they admit something happened, they deny they did anything wrong. What's your take?
Well, my take is he hasn't handled it as well as he could have. I mean, he had the opportunity yesterday with Kieran to say, I did say something, but I won't go into private conversations. Why didn't he? I mean, my understanding is he said something. I'm not sure whether it was to Wang Yi or Xi, but to the Chinese leadership about it. How could he not, given it happened last Tuesday? But it looks like they've been secretive about it to the extent they wanted it out after he departed San Francisco. And, Dutton's able to portray him as weak because it looks like he might not have said something. So I just think, to be honest, that and the immigration story of last week, I think since The Voice, he's lost a bit of mojo, and so's the government. And I think that's where we're at. I mean, he'll get asked about this in Parliament. I think if he did say something to the Chinese leadership, he could say, I did say something to the Chinese leadership. I'm not saying what it is. I'm not repeating private conversations, but I'll always stand up for Australia's interests. Some of this stuff is so elementary, I'm a bit surprised the PM's not doing it, just as I was surprised they were a bit flat-footed on the immigration stuff last week. For those of us who have observed politics for a while, you know what it's like, Peter. You know the type of scenario you're in, and you know what the general political reaction is. And he's not even getting that right at the moment, I don't think.
I think he's making a meal of it, though, because I agree with you. He doesn't have to say what was said in the private conversation, but surely on an issue this significant, the injury to Australian military, doing what the international community has authorised them to do, that deserves raising with a leader you happen to cross paths with within days of the actual event. To not do that, it's a character flaw in the Prime Minister. It shows weakness at a time when I think we're looking at him, given this issue with the detention issue, and wondering whether he's got the mettle to be a leader. And look at that news poll today, not the news poll, sorry, a Roy Morgan poll. That Roy Morgan poll picks up your point. I think he's been tracking down since The Voice. And that poll has the coalition now leading Labor on the 2PP, two-party preferred basis. Resolve poll yesterday, it's basically flipped the numbers in support of a treaty. A treaty was almost two-thirds of the Australian vote back in October, 58%, dropped to 33% this month. He's not clear on where we stand in relation to Makarrata. You've got Australians in a financial world of pain, sweating on whether there'll be another rate rise just before Christmas. And then you've got not just the issue with these detainees in the community, but I guess all the other stuff that's coming around the mass migration of people into this country, and premiers today saying not enough is being done. So world of pain, in summary, where does he go from here?
Well, he needs to get some confidence back, doesn't he? I mean, they have a few things they're going to roll out. The migration strategy, that'll be interesting given the context of what you just said, the cybersecurity strategy and the NDIS reforms, but they've got to get those through the states, and that will require the states dumping up money, and you know how hard it is to get money out of the states. Look, the problem with the approach of the government, I think, this year is they have all these reviews, which they obviously set up so they could be talking about something, seen to do something. They do an announcement of the review, and then the next day it disappears. Where's the narrative of the government? They were able to mask over that for a little while with The Voice. It's really mixed up at the moment, and that's where you lose some paint. Look, I don't rely. Roy Morgan's not as reliable as news poll, right? But most of the polls show that the primary's coming off Labor. It's not showing, incidentally, that primary's always going to the coalition. And when I talk to Liberal people, this is their concern, that Dutton is making headway in getting the vote off Labor. It's just not going to the Liberals yet. Of course, that can happen.
Yeah,
but
can I
you
just
don't want
jump
it
in there?
happening.
Yeah, can I just jump in that?
Yeah.
Calm down, nervous Nellies. The Liberal nervous Nellies always come at that line, right? And that'll be the moderates saying that because Dutton's a Conservative. You've got to take the vote off Labor first. It's got to move off the incumbent, the vote does, before it'll ever come your way. It can come to us on the right in a staged process. It sometimes gets parked with the others. It might move across. We're only, 18 months into the new government. For it to come off the government as fast as it has in the back half of this year, I think that's very telling.
Yes.
And I'd be making it my job in the first half of next year to migrate that vote that's leaving Labor. We know it's leaving Labor. Migrate that into Liberal or National Party camp.
All right, but Bill Shorten got votes off the Liberals with Turnbull, but never converted it. So that's the issue. It does occur. That sort of situation does occur.
The Drover's dog could have got votes off Turnbull. The Drover's dog could have got votes on Turnbull. I mean, I think this will be really interesting to see how it plays out between now and the budget.
You famously called him Mr. Harborside Mansion.
I wasn't wrong.
It was the best line of the campaign.
To the Liberal Party. We won a Logie for it, mate. Let's go to the Liberal Party in New South Wales. Marise Payne, of course, she was the Senate leader at one stage. She's certainly the senator there. Foreign Minister, of course. She's leaving the parliament. Peter Dutton is backing Zed Seselja, formerly a Canberra-based ACT senator. He's one of the Conservatives in the race. There are multiple. There's a woman, her name's Monica Tudor-Hope. The Business Council's backing her, and former Premier Peret's backing her as well. There's a moderate, former New South Wales Transport Minister Andrew Constance. He quit state politics to run for a federal seat, lost that, can't get a job clearly, wants another go at it. He's a moderate. So too is Dave Sharma, who lost the seat of Wentworth. He wants the Senate as well. Goodness me, a lot of failed state politicians there, failed politicians. Monica Tudor-Hope is about the only clean skin. How's it going to play out?
Well, very dangerous to pick a New South Wales Senate or upper house pre-selection, as I've learnt over many years. But for what it's worth, I think it's probably a Constance Tudor-Hope contest, and that's very interesting, especially when you consider Marise Payne's been mates with Constance since the Young Liberals and is throwing everything at getting him her seat. But as you say, he's tried and failed the last couple of times to get into federal politics, whereas Monica Tudor-Hope's a fresh face. And a woman, when they want more women, and a woman is departing. So that is going to be an interesting test of the pre-selectors this Sunday. I can't wait for it, actually. I think Zed's problem is he lives in the ACT. That probably doesn't help him, Peter.
No, it doesn't. I just hope we get a Conservative, because the person who replaced Jim Molan in the Molan Senate spot was not a Conservative. So it'd be nice to even up the score. Andrew Clennell, thank you for your time. Not that I've got a dog in the race. Not that I've got a dog in the race. I'm down here in Victoria.